Good evening, Chuggalos. Today we have a special late night episode of the Brew Crew podcast Christmas Advent Calendar. Now, the reason I'm saying that is because after a successful day at work and a successful evening of grocery shopping, I decided to reward myself with some video games and um, and it was a good time. And in my carried away lack of paying attention of what time it is, I realized that I never got around to this. I pulled it out of my basement fridge. It was in my kitchen fridge, and technically we've crept into the next day because of what time it is. However, I didn't fall asleep yet, so that means it's still not tomorrow. Um, Going on with this beer, we have Bavik from, where the fuck is the name of this brewery again? Brouwerij de Brabandere. I promise I said that wrong. This is a super wit. Not really sure what that means. I know it's a wit beer, but a super wit, I guess we'll find out. Stats on here: 11.2 fluid ounces, so technically a smidge smaller than a 12-ounce can. 5% alcohol. Says brewed and canned by yada yada. Drink between 8 and 6 degrees Celsius. And then there's a car with the slash through it, and what I can only assume is a pregnant woman with the slash through it. So that's how they skirt around the don't drink and drive, don't drink while you're pregnant. Works for me. Okay. It's super refreshing like it says it is. I get the impression that this is just a very very standard, very, German purity law kind of style. Like, this is somebody's bread and butter. This is somebody's, like, everyday after work beer. You know what I mean? In the motherland, across the pond, if you will. But yeah, in an effort to not drag this on for too long, I will sound off for everybody real quick. Then I'll probably make this one pretty short. I have I can, not to spoil it for um, not to spoil it for anybody, but we've got some goodies in store. I think Chuggalo Deuce and I are gonna get something together tomorrow, or well, technically today. But let me sound off. I didn't read Chunkle Mark. I did the Listerman a little bit earlier than expected. Um, Excuse me. So, alright. Good morning, dear nephew, fellow Chuggalos, and hangers-on. First off, apologies for the late dispatch. I pulled an all-nighter catching up on the last of my pre-Christmas work pile. Today's offering, while yesterday's is how I'm wrapping up my work night before I head upstairs to bed. Holy schmoly. That was Chunkle Mark. He's a workaholic. I'm breaking out yet another Beatles drinking glass. This one celebrates their final album, Let It Be, released in May of 1970, about a month after they called it quits. It's not their best album, but it's my personal favorite. Its creation is the subject of the Peter Jackson documentary Get Back, currently streaming on Disney Plus. An excellent slice of music history I'd highly recommend whenever you've got 8 hours to spare, okay? Alright, starting off with the timestamp. 6:20 a.m. Pop the cap, pour, frown at the dark color, sniff, sip, drink. 621 to 625. Imbibe some more. Contemplate. Verdict. Well, it's a dark beer, which I'm on record as detesting. However, hold on to your hats. This particular one doesn't suck. It's too heavy for me to drink more than a couple of them, but the taste is appealing. I'll give it a 3.75, believe it or not. Very nice wrap up to a long night of work. One that I can already feel is canceling out the coffee I've been drinking all night and nudging me off to dreamland. That is very awesome. And I'm responding to him. Excellent pod. I'm really apologizing here. But of course, him getting an email at 1:45 in the morning is probably not going to be something he's thrilled about. All right, but on to today's beer, the Super Wit. Excuse me. And it's late. Caitlin's asleep. The dogs are asleep. I've decided against the ambient music, ambiance, if you will. But going off of today's review from Chunkle Mark, the brewery that produced today's offering is apparently in Belgium. I've been to Brussels, and I can tell you that about every third downtown business is a brewery. One cool thing about that is that if you go to one and sample their beer, they will give you peanuts for no extra charge. I tried to translate the name, which is apparently in some language called Flemish. Interesting. Google doesn't have a translation program for Flemish, so no luck there. I guess we'll have to settle for mispronouncing it. Anyways, I'm reusing my vintage Coca-Cola reproduction glass. Here's a beer drinker's eye view of what a vintage reproduction drinking glass looks like. Photo included. 5:18 p.m. Poured. This one's got quite a head. Allow head to settle. Sniff. Sip. Not much flavor upon the first taste. Had to take a 20 or so minute break to help my partner figure out how to put the new vacuum cleaner together. Definitely a two-person project. The instructions they included on these things are shit. 5:38. Back now. Taking another drink. The taste buds are kicking in this time. Not bad. 5:42. Verdict 3.5. Nice and smooth. Wouldn't be my first choice, but I wouldn't run out for something else if this was all there was. Apologies again for not getting yesterday's dispatch. Blah blah blah. Got 2 days until baby Jesus' birthday gets here, so I can already tell I'm going to be missing the daily check-in. Me too. But I will say, after doing these, it is a nice little reprieve. Being done is certainly it's a nice break. The camaraderie that comes with the BCP Advent calendar is excellent, and I look forward to it every year now. But it's I mean, we're all busy people, but it makes it nice, taking some time out of your day to do this. But then sounding off for Chuggalo Deuce. Day 22, Bavik. I think this is my first wit beer. Kind of puts off a homebrew vibe. Hazy, yeasty, funky. Leaves a bit of an aftertaste in my mouth. I would think a big pork shank, some German potato salad, or possibly some spetzel, and some red cabbage or kraut. This beer would be an all-star. 3.25. And then Chuggalo Stepmom. 5 pukey faces. Oh God, no. So that sounds about right for Chuggalo Stepmom. But again, this gives me like Miller Lite or like that kind of vibe. It's definitely a swill style. I'm just gonna give it a 3. I mean, that's pretty solid in my opinion. It tastes well made. Just kind of slightly malty, a little bit yeasty. A good sustainer, you know what I mean? If somebody handed me one of these, I wouldn't like turn my nose up to it. But it's pretty good. It was definitely pretty happy with this one. A nice detraction from the very boozy stouts, the very which I love, but very a nice break before the weekend. So, cheers, Chuggalos. Have a good night.